Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. If you're new here, my name is Roshan. I'm 18, almost 19 years old, and I just moved to Denmark. So I have just started my YouTube channel, and I kind of just wanted it to be like a video journal of my time here in Denmark, just so that like when I'm older, I can look back on it and just sort of like see what I was up to. Anyways, just sort of a Q&A, an explanation as to like why I chose to move to Denmark and what I'm going to be doing here for the next however many years, and kind of like an outline of my plan. First, the big question is why? And I guess that's kind of like a blanket umbrella question for the whole video, but why did I decide to move to Denmark? So I'm gonna provide a little bit of backstory here. So in 1985, I'm pretty sure, my dad actually immigrated to Denmark as a political refugee, and he lived here for almost 20 years. He lived in Copenhagen and like surrounding area, and so he is a Danish citizen. That means that when my brother and I were born, since we are biologically his children, we were also eligible for Danish citizenship. So that's kind of how it works politically, I guess. And so up until actually recently, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, you weren't allowed to have dual citizenship over the age of 18 or 19, I think. So my dad was only a Danish citizen, and he wasn't a Canadian citizen, even though he's lived in Canada and still lives in Canada for like X amount of years. Anyways, so yeah, me and my brother are Danish citizens through my dad, which I've been to Denmark several times. I think this is maybe my like 6th time that I've been here. So I'm a Danish citizen. I'm also a Canadian citizen, and up until like 2.5 months ago, I was actually going to university in Canada on the East Coast. I went to St. Francis Xavier University in Nova Scotia. So I finished writing my exams in April of this past year, 2022. And then the plan was for me to spend 3 months in Denmark living with some of my dad's Danish family and friends. Because the law was, and still is, that in order to keep your Danish citizenship, if you weren't born here, you have to live in Denmark as a resident for 3 months and 1 day consecutively before you turn 22. So that was the plan. I finished school at like mid-April, and then I wasn't going to start again until September, so I had 3 consecutive months that I could stay here. So that was the plan, and I came to Denmark, and when I first got here, I had to go to like the municipality, and I registered myself as a citizen, and I had to sign a whole bunch of paperwork, and that was a whole thing. It took a really long time. Maybe I'll go into that in a different video, but I have to do a whole bunch of paperwork and stuff like that to just like solidify myself as a citizen. And then that's when my 3 months and 1 day started counting, from the day that I got to the country and registered myself. So once I registered myself, I got a Danish health card. I signed up for Danish language classes, which are covered by the government. It's part of their, like, I guess, plan for like foreign students or people to learn the language so that they can easier integrate into Danish society. So yeah, I got a health card, and they assigned me a doctor right away, which was actually like really cool and something that I thought was like really, really fascinating, and it was very efficiently done and everything. And I mean, in Canada, especially in Alberta where I'm from, in my city alone, like there's at least 40,000 people that don't have a family doctor, just because there aren't enough people and there aren't enough doctors like to go around. So I thought it was really cool that as soon as I registered in the country, they immediately assigned me a clinic and a doctor, and that was all set up and I didn't need to take care of that. So yes, health card, doctor, I signed up for Danish language courses, and I'll go into that a little bit later in the video because there's a lot more that entails. And I was also eligible to open a bank account. So I opened a bank account with a Danish bank, and then I also was eligible to vote. So yeah, okay, the main reason as to why I decided to move to Denmark. So in Canada, and I mean just in general, my life goal academically has always been, I've always been university bound, and within that I have always wanted to be a doctor. At St. FX, I was working towards eventually going to medical school. And if you're not familiar, the North American system is a lot different from the European system, as I've recently learned. But in Canada specifically, I think, and the US, I'm not entirely sure, but in Canada, you have to have an undergraduate bachelor's degree before you're eligible to apply to medical school. So when I went to St. FX, I was working towards my 4-year degree to get my bachelor's in public health, and then I could use those marks and apply to medical school afterwards. So your bachelor's in Canada is 4 years, and medical school is 4 years, unless you have to redo a year or something, then I guess it would be longer. And then you have to do a residency, which I'm not entirely sure how long it takes, maybe like 3 to 4 years. And then I know that when you want to specialize, it's another maybe 1 to 2 years on top of that, depending on what you want to specialize in. So pretty much I was going to be in university for the next like 12 years of my life, which that was completely fine with me. I was like in it for the long haul because it's something that I really want to do. So yeah, that was my plan in Canada. But I was also looking, so before I applied to go to St. FX, I was looking at 6-year university medical school programs in Europe, because in Europe, you don't have to have a bachelor's degree before you apply to medical school. You can apply right out of high school. So obviously, that's less time and more efficient, and just like, I mean, obviously, the less time in school, the better. That would be ideal. So yeah, I was kind of looking into that, but before I applied to St. FX, but the issue with that is that there's not a lot of them that are offered in English. So that was kind of one dilemma. And then also I have a late birthday, so I was going to be 17 going into my first year of university, and I was just not ready to move all the way across the world for that. So that option was then taken off the table, and I couldn't find a lot of the programs that I was interested in that were offered in English. So there goes that idea, put on the back burner. But my parents and I had decided that I would go to St. FX, start my degree there, and then we could always reevaluate in the future if I wanted to change my path and do something else. So when I was in, we're gonna skip forward a little bit here. So I finished my first year at St. FX in April of 2022, and then I went to Denmark, and I was here for 3 months. And in Denmark, if you didn't know, it's a fairly left-leaning country, and they're very well known around the world for being super expensive, and you pay super high taxes. But with that, you also get a ton of benefits, one of which being free education. So as a Danish citizen, if I go to university in Denmark, not only will it be free tuition-wise, but the government also gives you a monthly stipend of money to pay for living expenses, groceries, transportation, and stuff like that. So there's lots and lots of benefits here that the government provides for you. So when I was here, I started looking into that, and I started talking to the family that I'm living with and just sort of asking their opinion on everything. And then I started looking into medical school programs here. So there are a couple medical schools in Denmark. Denmark's a very small country. There's only about maybe 6 or 7 million people. So it's very small compared to Canada, also geographically. But yeah, so I started looking into medical schools here, and it's a 6 year program. You can apply right out of high school, and then when you're actually in the workforce, there's a lot of benefits here that we don't have in Canada. So that was the one major thing that drew me to staying here. The one major drawback is that all of the medical schools in Denmark are only offered in Danish. Obviously, I don't speak Danish. Well, I didn't at the time. I do speak a little bit of it now, but you need, in order to be eligible to apply to these medical schools, you need your A-level Danish. So when I was here for the 3 months, I took a Danish language course, and how the language course system works here is that there are 3 different streams that you enter into. I'm in the 3rd stream, which is like you can speak English and you're doing it for academic purposes and other things. And then within that, there's 6 different modules. And once you finish module 5, then you're technically done. And a lot of people only go to module 5 because that's what the requirement is for citizenship, I'm pretty sure. But if you want to go to university, you have to finish module 6 as well. And then you'll have your A1 level Danish. During that time, I finished module 1 out of 6. And I passed the exam. I got 100%. Yeah. So then around like the end of June, beginning of July, I was kind of like thinking about all the benefits of staying here. And since I'm a citizen, I get all of the normal benefits that people that are living here and born here, like that are also citizens, are getting. So that was one major advantage, I guess. The plan was to go home to Canada for 4 to 6 weeks and then fly back to Denmark and essentially just like move here permanently. So that's what I did. I arrived back in Denmark like 10 days ago, and I start module 2 of my language class tonight. And yeah, so my plan is to finish module 2 and module 3 hopefully before Christmas, and then in the new year I can switch to a different type of language school where you can also take other courses. So not only Danish, but you can take like chemistry, physics, like school courses. So that's my plan, to hopefully start that in January, and then hopefully by like July-ish of next year, I'll be finished all 6 modules. I'm not entirely sure how likely that will be, but I'm also willing to like give myself an extra year if I need it, just because since the entire education is going to be in Danish, I don't want to have to worry about not understanding the teacher or my fellow classmates or the textbooks on top of the material that I'm learning. So I'm really willing to just let myself take as much time as I need to properly and thoroughly learn the language to make it as easy on myself as I can when I actually start university. So yeah, that is basically why I decided to move to Denmark. That was like the big reason. So this is gonna be my home for the foreseeable future. I'm currently just kind of in the adjustment period still. I have been unpacking my room, which maybe it will be the video before this or the video after this. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so I've been unpacking. I'm still living with family for the first couple of months, I think, just until I get on my feet. My language class starts tonight. I'm in the process of looking for a job. I think I'm going to work at a kindergarten or some sort of like school setting with kids because that's what I really enjoy doing. And I'm also going to try and get some volunteer hours at a hospital or a clinic or something, just so that I can have that on my resume since I'm going into medicine. And then also just like fun activities. So one of my friends from high school actually lives in Denmark. She lives on a different island in a different part. It's like 3 hours ish from here. I live in Copenhagen. But yeah, so she's gonna be coming, I think, next month for a week, and we're gonna hang out, which will be really fun. And other than that, I need to just like make friends and like, I don't know, just put some roots down. So I'm really into music, and I've always been really into music. So I actually just found a choir that I'm gonna join. It starts next week. I'm kind of terrified, but I think it'll be really good. So yeah, I'm joining a choir, I'm getting a gym membership, and my language class starts tonight. And hopefully I'll have a job soon. But yeah, so that's the end of this video, I guess. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Again, I'm mostly just doing it for myself, but I love and I'm so grateful for all of you guys watching and the support that I've gotten from all of my friends and my family. So thank you very much. Also, a little shout out. This video is going to be really, really long. I apologize for that. Hopefully we can edit some of it. But little shout out to the person behind all of this. So one of my friends from St. FX is really into film and like video editing, and he reached out to me after I posted my first video, and he was like, hey, can I be your video editor? And I was like, absolutely you can. So shout out to Gabe, who is editing all my videos, except for the first one. I edited the first one. If you have any other questions or anything, just drop them in the comments, and I always check the comments. Thanks for leaving such sweet messages, guys. It honestly makes my day. But yeah, just leave any questions that you have in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, this is the start of my life in Denmark. So cheers to a new chapter, guys.